Halt. This goes beyond mere chance. The air filling your lungs, the rhythm of your heartbeat against your chest, the mysterious force compelling you to stop here. All of it is intentional. Heaven has meticulously arranged this meeting with a precision that would leave even the stars envious. You are destined to discover these words at this very moment in this sliver of time where the past and future merge into one quivering present. A transformation is underway in the hidden dimensions. Just 3 days ago, the throne room of heaven opened wide, and your name resonated through the corridors of illumination. Angels paused their flight. The Ancient of Days leaned in attentively. A scroll unrolled, a parchment crafted from starlight, inscribed in letters that glowed without consuming themselves, declaring something significant about you, about this time in your life, about the path forward. Do not scroll away. Closing this message means you'll miss the most significant convergence your soul has faced in years. This is a celestial interruption imbued with the significance of empires. The adversary is aware that you are reading this. He feels the anxiety. The forces that have opposed you for months are now in disarray, realizing what you have yet to grasp. This message holds codes for your breakthrough. They cannot intervene. Hit the like button now, not for my sake, but as a proclamation to the heavenly realm that you are receptive, that you are attentive, that you choose to engage with what heaven is disclosing. In the next 72 hours, the celestial arrangements that allowed this moment will change. Opportunities that arise today will begin to vanish. Yet, at this moment, the door is wide open. Your actions in the coming minutes will decide whether you step through or watch it shut. I perceive you not through human sight, but with the eyes of heaven. I recognize the burdens you carry as though they were armor you cannot shed. I see the fatigue that has become so familiar to you that you've ceased to name it. You have accepted profound weariness as a norm, where mornings feel as if you're lifting mountains just to open your eyes, where nightly rest brings no relief as your mind relentlessly catalogs fears and failures. You've maintained a smile through pains that would shatter others. You've stood firm even as your spirit crumbled. You have given and served until you had nothing left, but somehow still found more to offer. Heaven has observed each moment. Every tear shed in solitude has been gathered. Every desperate prayer has been logged. Each time you considered giving up but chose to persevere, angels took note. But here's what heaven is unveiling. Your endurance has become your confinement. The fortitude that helped you navigate through tempestuous times is now the barrier preventing you from finding respite. You have conditioned yourself to survive on empty, to operate in scarcity. The adversary has examined your behavior. He knows that you will not pause on your own, so he is willing to let you exhaust yourself until your body makes the choice your will refuses to accept. I understand your conversations at 3 a.m. with your inner self when your defenses are lowered. The inquiries. You keep silent. Am I adequate? Did I make the right choices? Is this all there is to life? You replay dialogues from long ago, seeking that pivotal moment when everything changed. That voice suggesting you are lagging behind, that everyone else has grasped something you have yet to comprehend. That voice is deceitful, and soon heaven will reveal the truth. Do you recall your former self before the burden weighed you down? Before letdowns taught you to set the bar lower? Before treachery made you shield your heart as if it were a stronghold? There was a time when you glided through life with ease, when opportunity felt nearer than trepidation. That part of you is not lost. It is hidden, and heaven is declaring it's time for revival. The prayers you abandoned because you believed God was unresponsive, He heard every single one. The aspirations you relinquished as unattainable, He has safeguarded them in a treasury of purpose. The commitments you ceased to trust because the wait became too protracted, they are still active, honored, still unfolding through divine timing towards realization. Nothing sown in faith has gone to waste. The yield has simply been postponed, not refused. And this delay served a specific purpose, for what lies ahead demands a version of you that only this period could cultivate. I understand the relationships that ended in a silence more profound than conflict. The friendships that faded quietly rather than erupted like colors leaching from fabric worn too often. I know about the family dynamics that leave you drained, where every gathering necessitates emotional armor, and you present a facade that preserves harmony at the expense of your true self. I recognize the solitude that exists in crowded spaces and the sense of isolation that comes from being amidst people, yet not genuinely seen. The financial strain that pervades every choice is something I am aware of too. You weigh decisions carefully. Can I afford this? Not merely in dollars, but in time, energy, and emotional capacity. You have conditioned yourself to desire less need, less convinced that wanting and needing lead only to disappointment, masquerading as life lessons. The credit card debts you have wrestled with for years, the unforeseen costs that always surface just as you make headway. The overwhelming sensation that no matter how hard you strive, you're always one crisis away from despair. That chapter is closing. What is on the horizon will transform not only your finances, but the very way you perceive provision itself. I'm aware of the health issues you have downplayed, the symptoms you have brushed aside, the medical appointments you have postponed, the pain you've learned to endure, the fatigue that transcends mere tiredness and evades sleep's reach. Your body, once quick to recover, now takes longer to bounce back. Heaven acknowledges your struggles, and what you're reading here isn't just conjecture. It is intervention. The throne room is more engaged on your behalf than you realize. Right now, celestial forces are being sent forth in tangible, reality-altering capacities. Mighty angels are positioning themselves around your home. Ministers of grace are assigned to guide your everyday journey. Angels focused on healing are hovering over the fragments of your life, receiving directions on restoration. This is not mere imagination, it is the machinery of heaven responding to a soul nearly at its limit. The Ancient of Days stands on your behalf. The one who sits enthroned above the earth, who measures oceans in the palm of his hand, rises from his throne because of you. Not despite your fragility, but because of it. Your breaking point has become his intersection of intervention. Where your strength falters is precisely where his begins to unveil in ways that will unmistakably reveal the orchestrator of what follows. In the realm beyond what we can naturally see, volumes are being opened. Not volumes of judgment, but volumes of destiny. Pages that have remained sealed until this moment are being turned with respect by hands that crafted the universe. What has been inscribed about your life prior to your very first breath is now being activated. Promises held in waiting during your preparation phase are being released like water from a reservoir that has been held back for too long. Resources that heaven has arranged for this precise time are mobilizing like an army responding to a call. The atmosphere around you vibrates like the heat rising from pavement. But what's rising isn't heat. It is glory. The veil separating the natural from the supernatural is thinning over your life as though it were a curtain drawn aside by invisible hands. What typically requires years of prayer to achieve is now reachable in mere moments, for heaven has proclaimed this a season of speed. Time is bending around you like light bending around a star. A process that should take 12 months may now take just 12 weeks. A task that ordinarily takes 12 weeks could occur in 12 days. This is not exaggeration. This is divine arithmetic compressing timelines. Can you see the scroll I referred to earlier? It is currently being carried through the heavenly court by an angel whose wings extend wider than city blocks. The scroll is not fashioned from paper, but rather constructed from light condensed into a readable format with decrees about your life inscribed in a script that flows like living water, not mere suggestions, but firm declarations. Breakthrough within 7 days. Restoration within 21 days. During this season of harvest and multiplication, there exist angels whose singular mission for the next 40 days is you. They are informed about your past, your battles, your destiny. One angel is skilled in orchestrating divine meetings that appear accidental but are actually strategic. Another specializes in restoration, reconstructing what has been shattered into a superior form. A further angel focuses on protection, establishing barriers that dark forces cannot penetrate. The number 7 is being highlighted for your life in this moment. Within 7 days, you will witness the initial signs of what has been triggered. It won't be thunderous. Breakthrough rarely announces itself with trumpets at the start. It begins as a slight adjustment, a minor opening, a seemingly random conversation that was actually orchestrated. Stay alert. The miraculous often masquerades as coincidence until you step back and recognize the pattern. Within 21 days, your situation will have altered sufficiently that you will look back at this day and understand it was a pivotal moment. Within 40 days, the biblical number of transformation, you will find yourself in a reality so distinct from your current one that this time will feel like a distant reminiscence. The change is not contingent upon your figuring out the mechanics. Your role is simply to prepare yourself to receive it. Here is what lies ahead. The financial strain that has accumulated is about to break free, not in a way that crushes you, but rather releases you. In the next 72 hours, expect to receive knowledge, an opportunity, or a connection that holds the very essence of increase. It may come as subtle as a chat unexpectedly through a call, or straightforward as a clear idea illuminating your mind after months of confusion. Do not disregard it. That is heaven in movement. Before the month concludes, you will witness provision materialize in a manner that takes your breath away. For some reading this, that figure will be 7,000. Ciao. For others, 12,000. For still others, a door will swing open to a steady flow where there has been only trickles and difficulty. Heaven understands your needs, not merely your quantity, but the reasons behind it. The areas where scarcity has imparted falsehoods about your value and your Father's nature. Provision is already on the move, approaching you like a river carving its path to the ocean. I foresee business concepts being revealed with such clarity that they will seem like sudden realizations. Job offers emerging from unexpected avenues connections that you believed were lost from fields you hadn't contemplated. Debts being erased through supernatural means. Refunds surfacing, obligations forgiven, interest wiped away. For those in business, you are on the verge of securing a client or contract that once appeared unattainable, one you had stopped praying for because it seemed futile. But for those in conventional employment, a position is opening that aligns so impeccably with your talents, it will feel tailor-made because indeed, heaven orchestrates no coincidences. For those awaiting financial breakthroughs from legal remedies, insurance claims, or promised payments, the wait is concluding. The check is being issued. The transfer is being activated. Relationships that have been strained will start to mend. The silence, once perceived as a penalty, will dissipate. In a matter of 9 days, someone you have distanced yourself from will initiate contact, or you will summon extraordinary courage to reach out. Pride has constructed barriers. Past wounds have only strengthened those walls. Yet the essence of healing is at work, and what appeared irrevocably shattered is on the verge of being restored. Not to how it once was, but to what it was always intended to evolve into. I foresee specific reconciliations occurring notably between parents and children and siblings who have been divided by misunderstandings or friendships fractured by betrayal. Marriages that have become more like cohabitations rather than sacred bonds. Conversations that have been evaded for years will emerge in the next 3 weeks. Meaningful dialogues, facilitated by the Holy Spirit, where both individuals gain new insight into each other's viewpoints. Years of unspoken apologies will finally be voiced. Forgiveness once thought unattainable will feel essential. In areas of your health where you've felt vulnerable, divine intervention is on its way. Those symptoms that have caused you concern and that persistent pain are being addressed in realms unseen before they manifest physically. Healing is already taking place at spiritual and cellular levels and will soon be reflected physically. Within 12 days, you will notice a transformation. Renewed energy, restored strength, and clarity emerging from confusion. I am witnessing specific healings, including reduced chronic inflammation, calming of autoimmune responses, normalizing blood sugar levels, stabilizing blood pressure, restoring sleep patterns, alleviating mental fog, breaking depression, diminishing anxiety, and releasing chronic pain. These affirmations are directed towards specific individuals engaging with this message now. The law of multiplication is at play. Heaven is pouring forth blessings into your life. What you invest in over the next 7 days will return to you 7-fold within 7 weeks. This is a shift into a period declared by heaven as one of increase. When you commit time, resources, energy, and love, you engage powerful laws of abundance that override limitations. You have been functioning under a mindset of scarcity, but heaven is declaring that mindset invalid. However, let me reveal what is transpiring in the invisible realm. An adversary has been constructing a case against you. In the shadows, accusations have been lodged, documenting your errors and cataloging your vulnerabilities. Evil has been strategizing to take advantage of your fatigue, preparing to strike at your weakest moments. The enemy has been holding strategy sessions focused on you. This realization should bolster your spirit, for the adversary does not expend energy on those of no significance. The sustained attacks you've encountered are evidence that your life carries substantial influence in the spiritual domain. You are not merely another follower of faith. You are a formidable force, a weapon in the battle, even if you've momentarily forgotten your power. Yet the legal authority of heaven surpasses all. The advocate at the Father's side has been presenting a counter-argument that obliterates all charges, not on the basis of your perfection, but through the power of his blood, his victory, his completed work. Every accusation has been dismissed and every strategy neutralized. What the enemy intended for destruction is transitioning into a powerful testimony. The ruling has been announced, not guilty completely, pardoned, entirely restored. All charges against you have been dismissed with prejudice, meaning they cannot be raised again, and countercharges have been initiated. Heaven is now pursuing reparations from hell on your behalf. Every assault you have faced, every loss endured is being evaluated. Compensation is on the horizon. The biblical principle of sevenfold restoration will soon be enacted for you. Your adversary is acutely aware of this pivotal moment. He is conscious of the impending changes in your life. In a last-ditch effort, he will attempt to deliver one final blow. Within the next 48 hours, brace for conflict. This may manifest as disputes, financial challenges, health crises, or emotional turmoil. Yet remember, it is not what it seems. It is the dying gasp of a vanquished foe expending his final resources because his time is at an end with this assault. Do not interpret this as abandonment by God. Instead, see it as confirmation that you are progressing as intended. The closer you come to your breakthrough, the more intense the opposition. The ferocity of an attack directly correlates with the importance of what you are about to enter. Hence, when conflict escalates, do not withdraw. Press forward. The breakthrough lies just ahead. Angelic protection surrounding you has been heightened. Heaven has dispatched warrior angels to guard your front, rear, left, and right. These beings are not the quaint angels you see on greeting cards. They are seasoned warriors who have been in battle since before time itself. They do not falter, they do not tire, and they do not negotiate with darkness. Press the like button again this time as a form of spiritual warfare. Doing so declares your acceptance of divine protection. You activate the presence of the angels assigned to you and affirm alignment with heaven's declarations. Now listen for your activation instructions. These are the keys to manifesting what heaven has prepared for you. First, vocalize this affirmation. I accept all that heaven is bestowing. I sever ties with exhaustion, fear, and delays. I embrace my season of remarkable breakthroughs. I align my spirit with God's timing and plan. I am safeguarded by the blood of Jesus. I am encircled by warrior angels. I am favored supernaturally. Say it aloud. Your spoken word holds authority that silent thoughts lack. Next, within 3 hours, remove something from your surroundings that embodies an old season, past struggles, or a former identity. It could be an item, a contact in your phone, or access to something distracting rather than purposeful. This act of removal serves as a prophetic gesture. It opens up space for what is coming. Third, before you retire for the night, list 3 specific petitions you are asking heaven to fulfill within the next 21 days. Avoid vague aspirations. Be precise, measurable, and clear. Faith is the confidence in the things not seen. Confidence requires clarity. Fourth, disseminate this message to 3 individuals within 24 hours. Your breakthrough is linked to that of others. You may be the answer to someone else's plea and vice versa. By sharing what heaven is delivering you, ignite the law of multiplication in your own life. Fifth, if possible, invest a seed into the work of the kingdom within 72 hours while this window remains open. Choose an amount that challenges your faith rather than just excess. When you give during this sacred time, you are planting into the spiritual realm, and heaven rewards such sowing with returns beyond measure. Click the Super Thanks option or support a ministry that is changing lives. The testimonies emerging this week are astounding. A woman named Jennifer in South Carolina followed these directives 3 days ago. Within 48 hours, she received a check for $9,000 unexpectedly for something she had marked as a loss 2 years prior. She commented, "I thought this chapter had closed. I accepted that loss, yet heaven had not forgotten." A man named Marcus in Texas proclaimed the declaration out loud on Wednesday morning. By Friday, he received the job offer he had been praying for over 7 months, with a salary increase of $12,000 more than he initially requested. He noted, "I interviewed in April and heard nothing until Friday when I got a call with a better salary." This is not coincidence. This is divine intervention. A woman named Patricia in Ohio eliminated toxic contacts from her phone on Tuesday night. The following morning, her daughter called seeking reconciliation after 3 years of silence. She observed I had been trying to mend the wrong relationship. As soon as I released the toxicity, what was meant for me could finally come into my life. A businessman named David in Florida donated via Super Thanks on Monday. By Thursday morning, a prior client reached out and offered him a contract worth $43,000. He stated, "I contributed $50 in faith and received $43,000 in return." That is the economy of heaven at work. A young woman named Sarah in Georgia prepared her list of 3 specific requests on Tuesday night. 1 being to reconcile with her father after 8 years of no contact. On Saturday afternoon, he called and they enjoyed a 2-hour conversation. She remarked, 8 years of silence shattered in just 4 days. God didn't forget my desires. These are not isolated occurrences. These experiences reflect a pattern. What transpired for Jennifer Marcus, Patricia David, and Sarah is accessible to you. The same heavens and the same promises belong to you, as God shows no favoritism. Now, accept this final blessing. You are entering a phase of favor that defies natural logic. Resources you did not labor for will soon come your way. Relationships you did not orchestrate are on the brink of formation. Healing that you couldn't engineer is about to manifest in your life. In the coming 7 days, you will see confirmation that this is much more than mere words, but a prophetic revelation from the spiritual realm. Your health is being revitalized at depths beyond what medicine can touch. Your mind is being invigorated with clarity that slices through confusion. Your financial situation is undergoing restructuring according to divine principles that defy inflation and recession. Your relationships are being realigned according to heaven's blueprint. Your purpose is being activated with divine acceleration that compensates for every lost year you feel has gone by. As this month comes to a close, you will soon find undeniable proof that everything conveyed here is reality, not mere speculation. Type the number 777 in the comments below as a sign of your alignment with divine release. By entering those digits, you are forming a covenant with the God who is incapable of deception. You are affirming, "I accept, I trust, I activate," and heaven is replying, "Granted, sealed, established." If this message has resonated within your spirit, click the like button once more, not out of habit, but to affirm. In biblical tradition, repeating an action served as validation. Let your second like serve as your amen to all that heaven has proclaimed. Next, share this with someone whose face came to mind while you were reading. This is not a coincidence. This is a divine purpose. For those capable of contributing financially, click Super Thanks. Allow your seed to signify your commitment to what heaven is orchestrating. I am not merely a receiver. I am an active participant in the harvest. Observe what happens in heaven when you transition from being a passive listener to an engaged participant. Blessings do not just chase the listeners, they pursue the doers. Go forth now confident that finding this message was not an accident. This message awaited your arrival. The God who is aware of the count of your days has situated you here at this precise moment, as what lies ahead demands your understanding of heaven's voice. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are not disqualified. You are chosen, called, and on the brink of experiencing the full extent of that significance. Heaven rejoices. Angels are poised. Your breakthrough is on the horizon. This is your moment. This is your season. This is your time. Pause. Whatever activity you are engaged in at this moment, halt whatever link you intended to select and dismiss any thought that might distract you. Cease not from a demand, but because a timeless force, ancient and unstoppable, has been advancing toward this instant, toward you along unseen pathways of time. This is not mere chance. It is a collision, a celestial interruption crashing into the meticulously planned timeline of your life at exactly the moment when your defenses are at their weakest and your desires are at their peak. I see you not the persona you project on social media, not the facade you present on Monday mornings, nor the edited snippets you refer to as your life. I know the you that emerges in the stillness of 3:47 a.m., when rest feels like a distant land beyond reach. I understand the you who lingers in your vehicle for 11 minutes after getting home, because stepping inside entails another round of pretense, and you are utterly exhausted from the act. I recognize the you who checks notifications on your phone repeatedly, yearning for a text that doesn't arrive, who gazes at your bank account until the digits blur into a threatening haze, who stands in the shower water hammering against a tension in your shoulders that has remained for 8 months. You have been running on empty, mistaking it for faith, depleting reserves that ran out weeks ago, experiencing that hollow ache behind your ribs, the one that food cannot satisfy or sleep soothe, the one that pulses like an unseen heartbeat, unheard by anyone but me. I see how your throat tightens when someone inquires about your true state, how you've mastered the skill of the dismissive laugh changing the subject, offering smiles that lack sincerity. I observe you gripping through yet another day bleeding hope, as your photo library accumulates carefully crafted falsehoods. Yet here's what remains obscured from your view. While you've been scrolling through others' highlight reels in the early hours, I have been reshaping the foundation of your future. While you believed silence equated to absence, I have been composing a symphony in frequencies that your current suffering hinders you from perceiving. What you perceive as delays are, in fact, preparations. That door you assumed was firmly closed, I shut it because what lies ahead requires you to be unencumbered. That individual who departed, I made them forget your number as their presence was suffocating the chapter I am destined to write next. You believe you've made an error, and you have. Yet it is not the one you suspect. Your mistake is not found in your actions, but in what you've ceased to believe I am capable of achieving. Amid the unanswered prayers and the recurring pain between promises that appeared to fade and dreams that dissolved like sugar in rain, you made a choice. It wasn't a grand gesture, nor a declaration of defiance, but rather a subtle, silent shift in your heart, wherein you stopped trusting my timetable and began to rely on your fears. You shifted from faith in my goodness to an acceptance of your own dismal predictions. You transitioned from a path of belief to one paved with anxiety, labeling it as wisdom, calling it protection, anything but what it truly is. I have observed your journey, witnessing your attempts to shoulder burdens for which you were never intended. I have seen you strategize, control, and plan. I watched you search for solutions online in the depths of night. I witnessed you rehearse dialogues in your mind. I saw you trying to pry open doors with tools made from your own unease. You have been relying on your own judgment to such an extent that it is on the verge of crumbling under pressure. Your confidence in your own insight has been so profound that you forgot how it feels to lean on mine. I understand this completely. I comprehend the reasoning behind it. When the heavens are quiet and turmoil looms large, it's natural to strive for self-preservation. It's expected that you take control. It's natural to start crafting contingencies for your contingencies. But my dear, heed my words. Your faithfulness is recognized. Those prayers at 3 a.m. when words escaped you and you were left overwhelmed. I collected every one. That vulnerable moment last Tuesday at 4:17 p.m. in the bathroom stall where tears streamed down as you felt like you might fracture. I held you close. That Thursday morning when getting out of bed felt insurmountable until nearly noon, when life's burdens felt utterly oppressive, I covered you. That Wednesday, when you passed your exit 3 times because heading home felt like sinking, I recalibrated your direction, safeguarding you, infusing courage into your turmoil. You have been battling fights that have already been achieved. You've borne loads that I've already lifted. You have been untangling problems I have resolved in realms beyond your sight, with perception limited to the 3 dimensions. It's vital for you to grasp this significant truth. Everything is in perfect timing. You are not delayed. You are not falling behind. You are not failing. You are precisely positioned for what I am about to unfold. That sensation of being trapped, it is not stagnation, it's recalibration. That feeling of regression, it's momentum building, coiling, readying to propel you ahead with an intensity that will compensate for lost time in astonishing ways. However, we need to address trust. Not the superficial, oversimplified understanding often shared in Sunday school. Not the theology that fits neatly into an Instagram post. This is authentic trust, the kind that defies logic. The kind that steps into the unknown without illumination. The kind that says yes before the plans are laid out. The kind of faith exhibited by Abraham when I instructed him to abandon all that was familiar, walking into a promise that had no map. The kind Moses embodied while facing an impassable sea with danger on his heels and my urging to advance. The kind of trust that David showed as he approached a giant armed with nothing but rocks and audacious, fearless faith. You know their histories, you've heard the teachings, but the hours leading to their moments of triumph remain unknown to you. You have never been told about Abraham's insomnia, the times he second-guessed whether he led his family into desolation based on a voice he might have conjured. You haven't heard of Moses' panic, the trembling that consumed him when Pharaoh mocked him, nor the moments when reason shouted that he was shepherding a nation to certain doom. You have not witnessed David's dread, how his body nearly betrayed him at the sight of Goliath, how instinct screamed to flee, even while his spirit urged him to stand firm. You see the victories. I perceive the valleys that preceded them. The anxiety, the shaking, the very real human fears intertwined with divine purpose. Understand this. I never loved them less due to their fear. I never held less regard for them in their shakiness. Their human frailty didn't disqualify them from my work. Rather, it positioned them for it because when someone petrified moves ahead anyway, everyone watching, hell included, knows the strength doesn't originate from themselves. Now here's what you might be unaware of regarding the last week. Last Sunday, as you mindlessly scrolled through your device, 3 specific prayers you uttered 4 months back appeared urgently on my desk. Early Monday at 6:12, I sent angels to start clearing unseen barriers. On Tuesday evening, while you busied yourself with meal prep and conjured dire scenarios, I was engaging with individuals whose paths are set to align with yours in ways that will transform your understanding of provision. On Wednesday, a day you perceived as wasted spent, lying in bed battling a fatigue that felt spiritual. I was dismantling strongholds in the atmosphere surrounding your life, unraveling authorities that have hindered your breakthroughs for years. On Thursday, I silenced 3 voices that have sown falsehoods into your identity since your childhood. On Friday, I redirected a chance that may have appeared as a blessing, but would have turned into a decade-long detour. And today, at this very moment, as you read this passage that reached you amidst whatever digital diversion you were caught in, I am unveiling something specially reserved for this season. Not because you have earned it, nor because you have arrived, but because my timing is precise and your preparation is finished, even if you cannot perceive it yet. Yet this is the situation we face. I am granting provisions, and you are still clutching onto scarcity. I am extending peace while you grasp onto anxiety like a comforting blanket. I am presenting breakthroughs, and you remain fixated on your backup plans. And I am not upset about this. I do not feel disgust nor disappointment. But I am interrupting. I am stepping in. I am insisting we confront what lies between us that you have been attempting to pray around rather than pray through. You wish to uncover what stirs my anger. I am indignant at what fear has robbed you of. I am mad at the counterfeit self you have been embodying. I am furious at the limitations you have accepted. I am angered by the audacity of hell to convince you are average when I created you for the extraordinary. I am angry you have been playing defense in a game I've already secured victory in. I am outraged that you have been existing when I intended for you to flourish. I am irritated that you have been managing mere symptoms while I offer a cure. And yes, my anger is genuine. It's not comparable to human rage. It's not trivial or vindictive or rooted in a wounded ego. My anger is sacred. It is righteous. It is the response of a parent witnessing their child step into danger. It is the reaction of a creator observing their masterpiece being marred. It is the fury of perfect love, watching the cherished settle for mere scraps despite a lavishly set table. My anger does not diminish my love. It affirms it, because love that fails to respond to injustice is not love. It's indifference, masquerading as virtue. Reflect on Adam and Eve not, the simplified teachable version, but the real narrative. I bestowed upon them everything, not merely some parts or a sufficiency, but everything. A garden exuding beauty work that brought fulfillment and relationships without shame. A solitary boundary was established intended not to confine them, but to ensure their safety, serving as a reminder that trust is essential in any close relationship. When the serpent approached with his cunning inquiries and veiled insinuations, what was he truly undermining? Not their joy nor their autonomy, but rather their trust. He led them to believe that I was withholding something from them, that I was harboring secrets, and that I could not be relied upon for their welfare. When they fell for the deceit and took a bite of the fruit, when they heard me calling in the garden and chose to conceal themselves, and when I sought them out calling their names, did I feel anger? Yes, without a doubt. But not due to a rule being broken. It was because they shattered trust, because they accepted the worst narrative about me, because they preferred isolation over transparency, self-reliance over closeness, their own judgment over mine. Yet even in that instance in my dismay, how did I respond? I shielded their shame. I made a commitment. I initiated the path to redemption because my rage has never been about feeling abandoned. It has always revolved around the need for restoration and accelerated renewal. The Israelites. For them, I parted the seas, defying the very principles of physics because they needed an escape, and I wanted them to acknowledge that I am the God who creates paths where none appear. I guided them with a tangible presence, a cloud during the day, fire at night. There was no uncertainty, no doubts. I was present with them. I provided sustenance when food was scarce. I drew water from rocks. I bestowed upon them victories against foes they stood no chance of defeating. I granted them my presence, my provision, my protection, my promises. Yet, how did they react? They complained. They griped. They longed for the familiarity of their bondage, for at least in Egypt, they knew the routine. They forged a golden calf while Moses was receiving the very directives that would guide them to their destiny. They hesitated to enter the promised land because fear outweighed their faith in my word. They placed their trust in the giants rather than in me. They leaned on their feelings of inadequacy instead of relying on my sufficiency. And I felt anger, a fierce rage ready to start anew. But Moses, stumbling imperfect and hesitant, intervened and reminded me of my promises, prompting me to relent. Not due to his arguments, but because he mirrored my heart. Even amid my fury, I remained. I continued to provide. I persisted in protecting. My presence was with them because my anger has never signified my absence. My discipline has never meant abandonment. For 40 years, I led them in circles, not as punishment, but to ready a new generation, to help old mindsets fade away, to demonstrate that trust is essential and that faith is integral to freedom. When they finally entered the promise, I was there, still guiding, still loving, still faithful, even amidst their lack of faith. That is my true nature, not a role I play or an aspiration I pursue. This is who I am at my essence, in my core, in my unwavering character. Now let's shift the focus to you. Consider the golden calves you might not see as idols. These aren't mere statues or altars. They represent the things in which you place more trust than in me. The judgments of those who are unaware of your calling. The safety of a steady paycheck that influences your choices. The temptation to remain small to avoid failure. The comforting pain that feels like home. The worst-case scenarios you mentally rehearse as though they were prayers. The contingency plans that have absorbed more effort than the original vision I bestowed upon you. The self-reliance you've mistaken for strength, when in reality, it's merely an intricate form of self-protection. I'm not asking you to stop reasoning. I don't require you to dismiss wisdom or act as if challenges do not exist. What I seek is a reordering of your priorities. I want you to pursue my presence before you chase solutions, to consult my insight before acting on your fears, to trust in my timing rather than your sense of urgency, to be assured of my promises before succumbing to anxiety, to find rest in my goodness before relying on your plans. And I understand what's running through your mind. You're reflecting on instances where you placed your trust, yet everything fell apart. The relationship for which you fervently hoped that ultimately came to an end. The job you thought was meant for you that ended up in someone else's hands. The healing that has yet to arrive. The breakthrough that never broke through. The door that not only stayed shut but was also secured, boarded, and had a demolition sign slapped on it. You're contemplating whether trust is perhaps too steep a cost, too dangerous, too prone to leave you heartbroken once more. But dear one, consider this. What if I revealed to you that those locked doors served as your protection? That the relationship that ended might have derailed your path? That the job you missed out on could have stifled your purpose? That the healing hasn't manifested because the breakthrough I'm orchestrating will become your testimony, liberating thousands? What if I told you that I haven't been withholding from you but actually preparing you? That I haven't been denying you, rather developing you. That I haven't been silent, but strategically planning. You have evaluated my faithfulness based on what is visible to you. I'm urging you to assess it based on my promises and words. Because what you perceive right now is merely incomplete data. It's just a singular chapter. It's a brief glimpse, not the complete narrative. But what I declare, my word, my commitments, my essence, is the anchor that remains steady when everything in your sight is chaotic. Here's what is about to unfold in the next 72 hours. I will act on 3 particular matters that have been burdening you. Not due to your finally praying hard enough, or because you've earned it, but because the timing has aligned. The stage is ready and every player is in place. That financial strain that has been weighing you down, change is already in progress. Not a windfall from luck, but a steady divine provision from unexpected sources. That relationship stuck in agonizing uncertainty. Clarity is on the horizon. It could either be a renewal so complete that you'll hardly recognize it, or a closure so final that you'll be able to breathe again. The identity dilemma that has been haunting you, making you feel like your life is wasted. The answer is poised to hit you in the face via an unanticipated conversation. But there's a catch. There's a stipulation. The aspect that determines whether you experience this or merely read about it and move on. You must place your trust in me within the gap. In the void between the promise and the evidence. In the tension that exists between the word and its realization. You need to trust me when it seems as if nothing is unfolding. When your bank account remains low. When the phone continues to stay silent. When the symptoms remain unchanged. You must have the faith to cease trying to force outcomes, manipulate situations, or achieve results through sheer determination and calculated tactics. Because control, in fact, is fear disguised as responsibility. It is disbelief masquerading as wisdom. It is your endeavor to take over my role out of fear that I might not come through. And I completely understand. I genuinely do. It follows disappointment. It comes after delays. It occurs after doors have shut in your face. Naturally, you seek assurances. Naturally, you wish to see the entire plan before taking that first step. Naturally, you want proof before you place your trust. But that's not the essence of faith. That's not the foundation of a relationship. Trust is built on saying, I don't see it yet. Yet I understand you are working. Trust recognizes that it doesn't seem logical, but it's understood by you. Trust declares, I am fearful, yet will proceed regardless. Trust acknowledges that my circumstances cry one thing. Yet, your promises convey something different. And I am choosing to put my faith in you. Trust doesn't imply that fear isn't present. It signifies acting in spite of it. It denotes walking forward without the ability to see the path. It symbolizes surrendering when every instinct urges you to control. And I need you to grasp this. The breakthrough for which you yearn necessitates a version of you that fully trusts me. Not the version that believes me when circumstances are clear. Not the version that has faith when the next step is visible. The version that trusts me in darkness. While waiting. In uncertainty. In the daunting stretch between releasing control and recognizing the outcome. That version of you is forming during this phase you've labeled a setback. So here's my request. For the next 48 hours, I urge you to cultivate radical trust. Not thoughtless recklessness. Not irresponsible choices. Radical trust. Whenever you sense anxiety creeping in, each time you start mulling over scenarios, whenever you reach for control, I want you to pause and express aloud, I trust you. I have faith in your timing. I trust your plan. I have faith in your heart regarding me. Even when my sight is blind to it. Even when emotions contradict it. Even when evidence implies the opposite. I choose to trust. And observe what emerges. Not because words possess magical power, but because declarations can transform the atmosphere. Because what you vocalize carries significance in realms unseen. Because angels are stirred by spoken faith. Because doubts retreat from declared trust. Because when you articulate truth frequently enough, it aligns your heart with reality, drowning out the falsehoods. I have not reached the end with you. I haven't forsaken you. I haven't selected someone more suitable, more devoted, or less complex. You belong to me. You are called. You are chosen. Not for flawlessness, but for a purpose. Not because you have everything in order, but because I excel at engaging with those who don't. Every prophet I've utilized has borne some cracks. Every leader I have elevated has carried burdens. Every voice I have amplified began by finding their whisper amid their struggles. Your imperfections do not exclude you. They position you. Because when someone with your journey steps into their calling, they can't attribute it to their qualifications. They cannot explain it through their charm. They cannot account for it through their tactics. It is undeniably me. Using someone who seemingly lacks the ability to achieve what they're accomplishing for purposes only I can realize. And that is the kind of testimony capable of transforming environments and impacting generations. So stop hiding. Stop diminishing yourself. Stop embracing the false narrative that claims you are too broken, too late, too ordinary, too anything. You belong to me. And I don't err. I don't act randomly. I don't waste time on those who lack significance. The very fact that you persist here continuously striving, continuing to show up even amidst pain is no coincidence. That is your calling. That is your purpose driving you forward, even while suffering tries to pull you back. That is your destiny, refusing to allow you to surrender even when retreat seems the only logical choice. The table is prepared. The angels are ready. Your breakthrough is primed to impact your life. The provision awaits you. The healing is on its way. Relationships are set to transform. Doors are getting ready to swing open. Opportunities are about to come into view. But you must meet me with trust. You need to release control. You must let go of the anxieties you've used as a shield. You must relinquish the worst outcomes you've been rehearsing as preparation. You must cease your attempts to solve everything and start believing that I already have. 72 hours, 3 days. That's your time frame. Not because I'm setting a countdown for you, but because that's the duration necessary for what I've already set in motion within the spiritual realm to become apparent in the tangible reality you can recognize. And I need you prepared to embrace it. Not with skepticism. Not with doubt. Not while still trying to make your plan B succeed. Prepared. Anticipating. Positioned. With hands open, heart soft, mind refreshed, and faith ignited. This isn't exaggerated hype. This isn't manipulation. This isn't false hope wrapped in spiritual jargon. This is the truth that will liberate you if you are bold enough to accept it. You are not stuck. You are not concluded. You are not failing. You are exactly on track for a display of my power that will astonish, affirm, and propel you into the chapter you thought you missed. Witness my work. Observe my movements. See how I create paths where you perceive barriers, provision in times of shortage, and restoration within decay. I am the God who specializes in revivals in the realm of impossibilities. In changing despair into joy and ashes into beauty, transforming what appeared to be an ending into a beginning so magnificent that it justifies the journey's anguish. Trust me, especially in this challenging moment when faith feels most difficult. Because breakthroughs do not arise from perfect belief. They manifest through persistent faith. Through the faith that continues to show up even while evidence has yet to shift. Through the faith that affirms yes before determining how. Through the faith that advances amid fear instead of remaining safely passive. That is the faith that delights me. That is the trust that releases my power. That is the submission that unlocks doors no one can close. You belong to me. I am not finished. It is not over. The best is still to come. And it begins the instant you stop orchestrating and start placing your trust in me too. Now watch. Just watch.